Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Lagos, there lived a young man named David. He was the kind of guy everyone liked, smart, funny, and about to marry the love of his life, Sarah. Their wedding was the talk of the town, planned to be the event of the year. David and his groomsmen, a lively crew of his best friends Michael, Daniel, and Samuel, were inseparable. They had grown up together, navigating the lively streets of Ikeja and sharing dreams under the hazy Lagos sky. The big day was approaching fast. The suits were tailored, the rings were polished, and the venue was decorated beautifully. The church chosen for the wedding was an old, prestigious one in Victoria Island, known for its strict traditions and its head pastor, Pastor John. David and Sarah had gone through all the pre-wedding counseling sessions and followed every rule to the letter. Or so they thought. The morning of the wedding was pure excitement. David and his groomsmen got ready at a fancy hotel, blasting Afrobeats and taking selfies. David looked sharp in his custom-made white suit, and his groomsmen rocked matching blue ones. They all had fresh haircuts, stylishly faded on the sides. Daniel had a small, neat nose piercing, and Michael had a discreet tattoo on his wrist that peeked out from under his cuff. They looked like modern-day princes, ready to celebrate. They arrived at the church in a convoy of sleek cars, music still buzzing in their ears. But as they stepped out, ready to make their grand entrance, they were stopped at the main door by two serious-looking ushers. "Excuse me," one of them said, his eyes scanning David and his friends from head to toe. "Pastor John needs to see you before you enter the sanctuary." A bit confused, David and his crew followed the ushers to the pastor's office. Pastor John sat behind a large mahogany desk, his face grim. He didn't waste time with pleasantries. "David," he began, his voice firm, "I cannot allow you and your friends to stand at my altar looking like this." David was stunned. "Like what, sir? We're in our wedding suits." The pastor pointed a finger at them. "Your haircuts are worldly. They are not befitting of a house of God. And you," he said, looking at Daniel, "that ring in your nose is an abomination." He then turned to Michael, "And tattoos are forbidden by the scriptures. You are bringing street culture into a holy place." David couldn't believe his ears. "But pastor, these are just hairstyles. It's fashion. It has nothing to do with our faith." His groomsmen stood silently, shocked. The pastor was unmoved. "The church has standards. We will not compromise. Either you go and find a way to look more respectable, or this wedding will not happen in this church." Panic set in. Sarah was already inside, waiting. The guests were seated. How could he explain this? The groomsmen tried to reason with the pastor, but his mind was made up. He even suggested that David could use his younger brother, who had a simple low-cut hairstyle, as his best man instead of his friends. The suggestion was insulting. These were his brothers, not just friends. Feeling a mix of anger and humiliation, David walked out of the office. His friends followed, their celebratory mood completely gone. What were they supposed to do? Shave their heads? Try to cover up a tattoo? It was their friend's wedding day, and they were being treated like criminals. Outside the office, they could hear the organ music starting inside the church. Time was running out. David took a deep breath. His heart was pounding. He looked at his friends, who looked back at him with support in their eyes. He then thought of Sarah waiting for him, probably wondering what was going on. He knew he couldn't let her down, but he also couldn't abandon his friends. The pastor had drawn a line in the sand, and David had to make a choice. He walked back into the pastor's office, this time alone. "Pastor," he said, his voice trembling but firm, "my friends are my family. They have stood by me my whole life. Their appearance doesn't define their hearts or their character. If they are not welcome at this altar, then I am not welcome either." The pastor looked surprised, but his expression hardened again. "Is that your final decision, young man?" David nodded. "Yes, it is." He walked out and gathered his groomsmen. "Guys, change of plans," he said with a newfound determination. "We're not getting married here." They looked at him, surprised but relieved. "What about Sarah, the guests?" Michael asked. "I'm going to talk to her," David replied. "She needs to know." He pulled out his phone and called Sarah's maid of honor, explaining the situation in hushed, urgent tones. Inside, when Sarah heard the news, her heart sank. But her disappointment quickly turned into resolve. She loved David for his loyalty and his good heart, the very qualities he was showing right now. She sent a message back. "I'm with you. Wherever we go." What happened next was something Lagos had never seen before. Sarah, in her stunning white gown, walked out of the church, leaving the confused guests and a stunned Pastor John behind. She met David and his groomsmen at the entrance. He looked at her, his eyes full of love and apology. She just smiled and took his hand. Word spread like wildfire through the guests via WhatsApp. The wedding was still on, but the location had changed. David's father, a wealthy and well-connected businessman, made a few quick phone calls. Within an hour, a new venue was secured, the beautiful garden of a luxury hotel just a few kilometers away. A popular event planner, a family friend, was called in to work her magic. The groomsmen, now energized, sprang into action. They helped coordinate with the vendors, directing them to the new location. The guests, initially confused, were excited by the sudden adventure. It felt less like a formal ceremony and more like an exclusive, pop-up event. The caterers, the DJ, and the decorators all rushed to the new venue. The hotel staff, eager for the high-profile business, worked at lightning speed. As the sun began to set over the Lagos Lagoon, a new, even more beautiful wedding scene was set. Fairy lights twinkled in the trees, music filled the air, and the aroma of jollof rice wafted through the garden. Sarah's father, who was also a licensed minister from a more modern church, agreed to officiate the ceremony. Under the beautiful evening sky, surrounded by friends and family who truly supported them, David and Sarah finally said their vows. The ceremony was emotional, heartfelt, and deeply personal. David's groomsmen, with their worldly haircuts and all, stood proudly by his side. They weren't just attendees, they had become heroes of the day, symbols of loyalty. The reception was legendary. The story of what happened at the church had turned the wedding into an iconic event. Everyone celebrated not just the union of David and Sarah, but the triumph of love and friendship over rigid judgment. The party went late into the night, filled with laughter, dancing, and a powerful sense of community. David and Sarah's wedding became a story people told for years, a modern folktale about a groom who chose loyalty and a couple who proved that a true marriage is built not in a building, but in the hearts of people who love each other. And as for Pastor John and his church, well, they had an empty building and a lot of explaining to do. The story went viral on social media, sparking a huge debate about tradition versus modernity in places of worship. Many people praised David for his courage and his stand. In the end, love didn't just win. It threw a better party. What do you guys think? Was David right to leave the church? Or should he have complied with the pastor's rules for the sake of peace on his wedding day? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching.